dodgy practices.
Some good news for consumers. That's Gary Rycroft, a lawyer. He writes a lot of consumer advice for the Daily Telegraph. Scott Dixon is with us. He's a consumer rights expert. Evening, Scott.
Good evening, Paul.
So they have been making it up as they go along, but by the looks of it, not for much longer.
Well, it's great news for motorists everywhere who have been exploited by sharp and unfair practices with an appeals process which is questionable. And it's, whilst it's great news, it's just a shame that it's going to be the back end of 2023 before this comes into effect. So there's still the best part of 2 years for the current vague practices to carry on.
So the question then is, why is it taking so long?
Well, it's been rubber stamped to go through the process through Parliament, and there's no way of knowing why it's going to take so long, but I think it's just the legal process for it to be approved across the devolved nations, because it's got to be equally applied across England, Scotland and Wales as well.
Most people at the moment, most private operators charging £100, but I mean the number of fines, when you look at the stats, has rocketed in recent years. I mean, from around 1 million in 2010 to close to 8.5 million 2019-20.
Yeah, it's completely unfair, and it's fair to say that motorists have been exploited by what is an unregulated industry. And it's a common myth to say that they're fines. It's obviously, it's designed to mislead motorists, the tickets themselves. So they appear to be official parking fines issued by councils, which have the wording penalty charge notice, whereas parking on private land, there's simply invoices, and the wording is parking charge notice. So there is a crucial difference, and it's just knowing what to look out for. So you can treat them differently.
What's been happening if people refuse to pay?
Well, you can be pursued through the courts, and you can't ignore them. But there is a way of dealing with them, and the first thing you need to do, for example, if you're issued with one of these invoices for an alleged breach of contract for parking on private land, is to go straight to the landowner. And that's the key weapon in your arsenal. Try and avoid liaising with the ticket company, because they don't know who the driver is, and they'll go to the DVLA to get the keeper details if they're registered with the BPA, which is the British Parking Association, or the IPC, which is the Independent Parking Committee. So if you can, just go straight to the landowner. So, for example, if you're parked in Aldi or Morrison's, speak to customer services and ask them if they can cancel a ticket for you. So play on the loyalty factor. If you're a regular customer, have your receipt. They don't want the bad publicity, and they'll quite happily cancel them for you. And never rush into the time conditions. So if it's say 50% discount for settling it straight away, don't rush into it, and never admit to being the owner, because if you enter into correspondence with the parking ticket company, you're in effect playing into their hands, because they don't know who the driver is, and they'll only identify the keeper. So it's just something to bear in mind.
The Minister for Levelling Up, who's a guy called Neil O'Brien, saying the new measures aim to protect motorists from aggressive debt collection and unreasonable fees. He's saying private firms issue roughly 22,000 parking tickets a day and often adopt a system of misleading and confusing signage, aggressive debt collection and unreasonable fees designed to extort money from motorists. So it's been extortion.
It has, there's no other way of putting it, really. And the first thing you need to do is look for the signs. So you need to be given sufficient guidance to make an informed decision. And the signs need to be set to a prescribed criteria. And more often than not, they're not clearly displayed, and they are misleading. And that's the crux of it. Illegal signs equals illegal signs. So you cannot be found guilty of any breaches of, entering into a contract for parking on private land if the signage is unclear and you haven't been given sufficient guidance.
Scott Dixon with us, consumer rights expert. Scott, thanks for your time.